can give you a quick introduction. Okay. Here we go live. Yeah. So yeah, let's start with the meeting agenda items. So welcome everyone to Meshery Development Meeting. With that, let's move to our first agenda item by Ashish. You have a list of items today. So the stage is yours.
Okay, give me a second. Okay, yeah, so the first item in the agenda is, by the way, Suresh, your mic is on. Yeah, thank you. So the first item was about, okay, let me give you some context. So in configuration page, we have applications, designs, and filters. And whenever you import them, either the import is successful and that design or application is listed over here, or it is unsuccessful and you're thrown a bunch of errors. In both of the cases, you are returned an error immediately, but you're not returned an error in the notification center here over here. So this PR, this standing PR is about that. It's about basically pushing those errors, and along with those errors, what's the probable cause and suggested remediation. And I'll just demo it real quick. So right now I have manually turned off Kubernetes component generation, which means that I don't have my cluster connected, and also my Meshery server instance right now does not understand any of the Kubernetes components. And that is a required thing if you want to make use of any. So for example, if you have a Kubernetes manifest, and if you want to import that as a Meshery application, you need to have a cluster. Either you need to have a cluster connected, or you need to have the static components registered with Meshery server. So recently a change was added in Meshery server where even if you don't have your Kubernetes cluster, you still would be able to basically import your Kubernetes applications using the pre-generated components that we have. So if you have your Kubernetes cluster, they would be dynamically generated. Otherwise, they would be pre-generated. Right now, I have turned off the pre-generation just to show an error. And the other thing is that in my UI, I was having some caching issues. So I was not getting notifications over here, not because of backend, but frontend was not sending the /API/events request, which actually establish a long-term connection over which the events are streamed. So just for the demo purposes, I have my Meshery server running over here, and I'll use curl for now to stream events back. So let me try to import something over here. So right now I don't have any Kubernetes components registered. I hope so, that I use the correct make recipe for it. Otherwise I'll restart anyways. So if I come back to my applications, and if I paste the link to the cron job and select the option as Kubernetes manifest, and I try to import it. So first thing is that you get an immediate error here, which says that you basically you don't have the Kubernetes component named cron job in the group version batch/v1, so we couldn't import it. And here you didn't get the notification because of the UI caching issue that I talked about. But if I go over my curl request that I had made, so here you can see an event is streamed back, which summarizes that, hey, this is the error. Could not create the manifest that you provided. We could not create a pattern from that. Pattern is design. And here, this is the missing component. And also in the probable cause and suggested remediation, it says that Meshery doesn't identify the resource mentioned in the manifest. Check if all the Meshery adapters are running. Check if Meshery has successfully identified and registered Kubernetes components. So this thing would be streamed back in the notification center. And along with the component, which is core, means that these are Meshery specific errors. And the component name here just means whether it's application or design or filters. This can be further used to segregate or to categorize errors over here in the notification center. So we can have design errors and application errors and filter errors segregated using this extra information that we have. So these events will be streamed back for now. So yeah, and even if that's successful, so I'll have to start Minikube, but yeah, take my word for it. That if that's successful, you'll also get a success thing back. While I'll ask that if anyone has doubts, I'll start Minikube so that I'm able to successfully import this application and see what how after it is imported, whether I get it on my UI or not. So up until now, does anyone have any question or doubts regarding this? Yeah.
On the UI cache issue, is that a code thing, or is that just your local environment?
I am pretty sure that is just my local environment, because I have asked other folks, like I have asked Abhi, and he said that he was getting. So if I open my if I open my network tab over here, and if I look for events, let me refresh. So if I refresh and I look for events, the no such call is made from the UI from my side. And I asked Abhi a while back, and he said he could confirm that that call is made. So and yeah, if someone else can reproduce this issue where from the UI the /API/events call is not made at all, then it would mean that it's not just my environment. But like two people have said that they were able to. So, but that was a while back. So.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah, I'll see if I can reproduce it on the call, just to help troubleshoot. But part of the reason that I was asking is because I'm really excited to see the message inside of the notification center, because it's coming through here, even though it might be missing a capitalization on the Meshery and adapters, and maybe on Kubernetes, but just little nitpicks there. There's a white space missing in the end of the sentence actually on both of the sentences. But those are just total side notes. I'm really excited to see this. And to see it in context, to see like, okay, so this is actually a fairly simple concept for most of us. It's like, hey, we have a workload, an app that we want to deploy onto Meshery, and maybe that app is described as a Helm chart, maybe it's described as a Kubernetes manifest, maybe it's a Docker Compose app that you want to convert to Kubernetes. And have Meshery load that onto Kubernetes for you. So Meshery will do all three of those things. But if it runs into trouble as it goes to import and digest that workload description, it will. Well, so Ashish is making sure that it will, give the user comprehensible, or comprehensible rather, well, now hopefully comprehensible feedback to say, oh, this operation, this thing that you requested me to do about importing wasn't a success. And there'll be some, like from the user's perspective, for lack of a better technical term, I guess I would say there'll be some gobbledygook that's given back to them about like registration of Knative components started for context, blah, 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 blah. And okay, that must be good because there was a green check mark next to it. So I guess that's good. But then this other area that's really much more important and is something for them to fix or something for them to solve themselves, which is if you import an app and Meshery can't compute it, can't digest it, what do I do? Like as a user, it's like, well, is that just Meshery just doesn't support this, or is there something about my deployment that I could change? And so the instructions that are being provided here is just to confirm, gosh, I wonder if we could get a little more specific. This is kind of why I wanted to see it in context. Is like, geez, if I'm importing a cron job for Kubernetes, do I need to make sure that all of my Meshery adapters are running, or really? Okay. Check if Meshery has successfully identified and registered Kubernetes components. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That's great. But how do I do that? How do I check? And so this is one of those things where we get to test the
Miskit errors.
Yeah, and test whether or not that framework is complete. Like if it has, everything that's needed, because you could imagine one of the things that might be needed is like, well, geez, to explain to the user how to troubleshoot and get Kubernetes components registered, it could be this paragraph with this video explaining it, right? And you don't want to put all that, or maybe you do want to put all that into the notification, or maybe you just want to have a hyperlink somewhere else. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to those discussions with you all about like the operations center, like the enhancement to the notification center. So this is neat to see. I think this is a great example.
Yeah, and one more thing one thing is that we have so it's related to meshkit errors. So just to give a little bit of context, these errors are just are wrapping what meshkit errors are. So if you go over meshkit, on meshery.io, if you go over to the docs.meshery.io, you can see the error codes that we have. So like if I just search error codes Meshery, here you can see that you are also provided the error code over here. So if you'll just where is it? Okay, so my eyes are not okay. Yeah, this is 2213. So this is the error code. So we have an error code reference guide. So this error code is directly mapped over to here. And if you click on these things, okay, these like a few of these have empty probable cause and suggested remediation. So this is kind of a lazy part on this is lazy on our part. So basically just to give a bit of context to people who don't know what meshkit errors are, we just take normal Golang errors and we wrap it inside of our own construct of errors, which has this probable cause, suggested remediation and all these things. And we use, it depends basically whatever function returns that error adds those things like what was the cause of the error, how can you solve it and all. A little bit of problem comes in where we basically have meshkit error is returned from a function, and then that error is then wrapped inside another meshkit error, and that is wrapped another inside. So mesh error inside of error inside of error. So if you go that way, like in cases of Node.js, you would find a stack trace comes up in front of you. Right now, we don't implement something similar to that. So what happens a lot of times is that you will not get some particular function might be returning a meshkit error with appropriate probable cause and suggested remediation, but that error might get wrapped into another meshkit error which does not have the basically probable cause and suggested remediation. So a few things need a lot of cleanup, and as these errors get onto the UI, things would be more prominent, and we would be able to identify and solve these issues around error handling. And so yeah, that was the first issue. Let me quickly move on to the second item, which was adding status field onto the component in the registry. So yeah. So, okay, just to give a little bit of context, I'll open up the object model. Okay, so we have a component registry over here, and this registry stores components. These components are building blocks for these components are building basically the things that we were talking about. Kubernetes components not registered. These are the components that we're talking about. So these components are then consumed by backend to basically generate a design or a pattern, which is which Meshery understands and which Meshery can compute. So these components are like definition files. So we store these in the registry, and up until now, these didn't have a status field. Just to give you a flow real quick, a host comes in and the host registers these components. So we store the host as a foreign key over here and as a registrant ID. And the components are also stored over here in the registry table itself. Okay, so yeah, so when a host wants to unregister, let's say, then in that case, what we want is we want to delete the entry of the host from here, and also we want to mark the components that the particular host registered as stale or invalid. Right now, I have I'm marking those as where is it? I'm marking those as valid or invalid depending upon. So initially, when the host registers them, these components are marked as valid, and when the host unregisters them, these are marked as invalid. And so this is status column is added in the components table and the component metadata table, and so basically anything related to these components, and we'll have policies table. There also will have the status field eventually. And also another table that we would want this field to be is object table that we have. So these components are like the building blocks, and the object are the actual Kubernetes object that we detect from your cluster. So when mesh sync is deployed, it deploys an operator, which Meshery operator, which then deploys mesh sync, and which constantly basically watches for a lot of resources and streams back data. And that those are Kubernetes objects. And we also need a status field there. If is Pranav on the call? Pranav is Pranav Singh, I mean. I don't think Pranav is on the call, but yeah, it's between him and I that this status field, we need to add the status field inside of Kubernetes object table as well, so that basically we can, yeah, we can track those as well. But here we want the status field to just have the components that we have. After, we don't want to delete them right now. We just want to either mark them as valid or invalid. I don't know whether valid or invalid is the correct term. If anyone has a better term instead of valid and invalid as the status, like stale or active or something like that, open to suggestions. So that was about the status column that has been added in the components table. Does anyone have any questions regarding this thing, or should I move on?
You should maybe move the rest of your topics to the bottom so that
yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
so
Okay.
it
Makes sense.
But I mean to interject before people had questions. There's some really interesting things happening in there. I can't imagine that everybody understood all that. Meshery operator, mesh sync. Got some database tables happening, some components being generated. If a user goes to import an application, a Kubernetes manifest, a Helm chart, and that chart or that manifest describes either Kubernetes objects or custom resources, custom Kubernetes objects, and Meshery is unaware of those, you'll bump into an issue, and so yeah, all of that's interconnected. Interesting. Now the status field on the components in the registry, remind me of its purpose again, very briefly.
Basically, when the hosts go away, so right now we don't have an unregistered operation, but the ask was that, do we delete those components or do we mark them valid or invalid? The same thing would also be used at the time of basically duplication, to avoid any kind of form of duplication. When one host has registered and the second host comes to register, we want to see whether that particular thing has been marked invalid or valid. So that status field is just to basically it's a direct it signifies whether the host is available or not, or the host is gone.
Gotcha.
Okay, thank you, Ashish. So next up we have Harkirat on node configuration. Harkirat would like to share.
Yeah. So as you know, like we use the RJSF for the design configurator as well as the mesh map. So now we have the newer field UX, like showing the help and the error message inside the field user, and it's a pretty much simple stuff, and it is merged. And the other thing was the publish feature for the Meshery catalog, and I just fixed the conflicts and it's up for review. Like if Rituraj may test it. That's pretty much about it.
Yeah, I tested it and it works. I have a little one small thing to add, but it works.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Harkirat. Moving on next to Rituraj. So Rituraj.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll just demo the entire workflow of this. So let's say if I want to yeah, so I have my Meshery open here. So if I want to go to designs and I want to make some design public, so we wanted to make the I think book info public. No, book info is already public. So yeah, STO installation. Let's say if we want to make this one public, I hope this is the right one. So in that case, we just have to click the publish button, this one, and I just add none STO and store deployment, and I just click publish, and that will publish the pattern. It'll become public, and yep. So apart from that, we also have this catalog workflow, which also now works. So if I go back to the latest commits, okay, I have to wait for the workflow to kick in. We'll probably see this. Yeah. So the workflow runs. It's done.
By the way, which
And
role has this permission?
so right now only admin has it, but I'll make a curator role also, which will also have this permission. So yeah, it made the changes, but also apart from that, it also shows up on Cloud Native Catalog. So I just made a couple minutes ago, I made this book info catalog public, and it shows up here. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So any feedback or questions for Rituraj?
How does someone become a curator? Just you don't have to answer the question if it, but yeah, something to think about if that's not written down, or even potentially, gosh, maybe we should publish some of those roles and what those are about. That might be helpful. And that's not spoken sarcastically. That's an honest thinking aloud. But that, yeah, that's pretty neat. I don't know how many people caught it, but what a clever use of workflow through GitHub, just to do kind of be self-documenting, sort of self. It's pretty cool. So, Raj, do you envision, like, as you describe the Meshery catalog and this new role that you're creating, and kind of the ability for users to publish content into the catalog? So publish a design. So if someone, took the time to curate their Kubernetes configuration, or to maybe import a Helm chart, modify it, and kind of have their own sort of best practices for maybe a Prometheus deployment or something, that they want to suggest to others, and make it easy for other people to deploy, import into their own Meshery environment and deploy. Do you want to speak around any of the future-facing considerations that you have there with respect to, whether or not that content is tracked back to a particular user, or guarantees around whether or not stuff works, or, I don't know, just, different kind of life cycle considerations of quote unquote content in the catalog, different classifications, or I don't know.
Yeah, so I was what I had in mind was for regular users, they will have no roles, right? An arbitrary user has no role, or doesn't have the curator or the admin role. So they'll just, when they click on publish, we'll go through an entire this system of a queue of publish requests, which a curator or an admin could sift through and approve. So that is, and yeah, regarding tracking back to the user, that'll happen, of course, because the pattern itself has a I mean, the user ID is attached to the pattern, so it will be tracked to the user.
Well, very good. Is Subedi on the call? He is. He's probably got something. He and some other folks had been busy on the front end of the Meshery catalog, and I didn't know. Subedi, are usernames or individual content publisher names present in the catalog today? And if not, is there consideration for them?
Yeah, it's not present. I guess when we made the designs, we set all of the catalog user as layer 5. So it's present there, but it's not currently, I guess, like shown in to the user, shown in the website, because the position location of it was not fixed. So yeah, there is a provision so that the user can be shown like whose pattern is this.
Also, at the moment, the meshery.io/catalog, it's not synced up with Meshery Cloud, right? So, I mean, it has stuff on it which is not on Meshery Cloud. So technically, those cannot have any users attached to them.
Got you. Yeah. I mean, it sort of begs the question, how to potential outside of just listing the user's name. It sort of begs the question of how to link to them, maybe. So if the user has, so in order for someone to publish through the catalog or publish to the catalog, they need to have a Meshery Cloud user account, and then if that user account is maybe linked to a GitHub. If they've listed their GitHub account, I don't know. I'd love to hear more thoughts going forward about what are the next steps on the catalog. It sounds like there's a good foundation there.
Yeah, maybe on Meshery Cloud we can. So I don't know how this is in the long run, but maybe we can have a page for each user, which just has some basic information, like let's say the bio is displayed and public items that the user has. So I think that would be a good place to redirect to.
Cool. I just was bringing this up as a backdrop in case it was helpful. It was pertinent. The machine that I'm on is really slow though. So anyway, that was all that I had for questions. Does anybody else have questions about?
The file name, the YAML file name is like it's random number. So I guess we can change it to the pattern name itself. Like when it's saved, it's random alphanumeric number. So I guess saving it with the pattern name itself will be good.
Yeah, but again, there might be a problem if two patterns have the same name.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe add.
But is it displayed anywhere, like to the end user?
No. In the website, it's not just displayed anywhere, but in the repository, it's like if they plan to download the pattern or copy the URL, then they will be displayed.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'll think about that.
Subedi, you are next on demo of compatibility metrics.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So this is the compatibility matrix test, which is in consolidated form. Earlier, it was present in a separate page. Separate page which was a little bit hidden to the user. Right now, the compatibility matrix is shown to the user in the first, like in the supported platforms page, where user can see all the compatibility matrix, and there is currently two sections, Kubernetes and Docker. And in the Kubernetes section, user can see if they want to see the integration tests, which are like present here. They can also see through the link that is present here. Like if they click here, they see all the latest integration tests that happen for each adapter. Yes, and that was it. And maybe we would want more platforms to be added here. Yeah, that needs discussion. Like, what are the platforms that could be added to this?
Feedback or questions for Subedi? I think no. So everything looks perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Subedi. So next up we have dark mode by Harshit for Meshery UI.
Okay, sharing my screen. Okay, so welcome to the Meshery dark mode. So here we are creating a dark mode and we're having a specific theme according to that. So I mean I'm very close now. I think I converted all the pages, but I think I should check once more for a small details. But yeah, the pages itself is completed now. But there are small details I have to need to cover. So yeah, we are close now.
Yeah, this looks good. Anyone has comment for Harshit?
Harkarat, what do you think? Is this we headed in the right direction here? Do you think that there should be a mode switcher on the right-hand side of the user's profile? Or should the avatar for the user always be the rightmost thing? Or does the size of that switcher look about the same size as the rest of the buttons? It looks like it might be a little off in its positioning. I don't know. Are we using flex up there? If not, that would be great if we were. Anyway, Harkarat, what are your thoughts though?
Are you asking me because you sometimes get confused with
Yeah.
Harshit
No,
and
I
Harkirat?
it's all it's
So
it's
like
all
it's looking great. Like I would love to see the dark mode. The color is like, I don't know, it's because of the screen share, but it's getting attracted to my eyes, the green color. Yeah.
Yeah. So is it Keppel green, Harshit?
Yeah, it's a Capel green. Actually, I'm quite experimenting with these colors. These are the small details, and we can change it later and nitpick later. These, but the whole system is being ready. Once I will complete these small details, then I think we can nitpick these small things. But yeah, I think it should be changed because it is really shiny to the eyes. I taken it from the layer 5, inspired from the layer 5 design because we are using Capel green in the dark mode a lot of times. So, but yeah, here I think it should be changed.
yeah. I don't know that it should be. I mean, like, hey, those are. It's supposed to draw attention to your eyes, like that. That's where you're supposed to click. Maybe it should be. Maybe it's overused. There are two different tones of green in the Meshery logo. Keppel green, which is just like some easy way of not having to say a long hex code for a color. But like Keppel green is the darker green, and then there's this it's like a little lighter shade, little brighter green, and it's the moniker for that is Caribbean green. Yeah, if it so happened that you're using Caribbean green, the one that's a little bit brighter, maybe try the darker one. And if not, then inside of the Figma Meshery UI design file, there's a few shades of, there's a color scheme in there that you might play with. But I got it. Just for my part, I have to say those those shades of gray, or between where it says workloads on that piece of paper, that card, and then the gray that's used. So the workloads and the all workloads, I think that really complement each other well. It's really quite soft, and to Harkrat, I don't know if Harkrat was saying this. He was saying his eyes are being attracted to the button. He didn't say if that was a positive or negative thing. To the extent that it's negatively distracting of the user, you could justify and reinforce that maybe it's too strong of an attractant if you were to point out, like, if the rest of the UI is intended to be soft and subtle. It's not necessarily a bad thing, because the argument that you would make is something like, on the left-hand side, you have a universally available navigation menu all the way on the left. And it's, to me at least, it doesn't call as much attention to my focus. And like, does it need to? Probably not. It's universally there. It's there when you need it. It doesn't have to be in your face. What should be in your face is the page that you're on, and particular, interactive components. So the buttons being lit up, like, there's some, healthy user-centered design philosophy that stands behind, those being a bit more prominent. So they do seem to, I don't know. We have to look at some of the shadows that are being used.
Okay. Okay, I'm getting all the feedbacks here.
Okay.
One more thing you will notice that we have a change of scroll bar here. Initially it was like this, but now it's like this. And fun fact is we get a Caribbean gray after hovering over it. So it looks like this.
Oh yeah, good, very good. Makes sense. Yeah, man, those scroll bars look slick. They went on a diet, and they got some curves to them as well. So who doesn't love some curves?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it's much better than a default one. So yeah, here we are close. I will just ask for a review for all of you guys when I will complete all these things. So be ready, and thank you everyone for the feedbacks.
Harshit, just one feedback from my side. If you can see from the user profile and between the half moon buttons, the space is more. I mean, is it like, was it done deliberately, or or it's from mistake, or you're still doing improvements?
I think we are.
If I see.
Yeah, that's a good feedback. I'm getting a lot of feedback here. So basically, I think this is not a Flexbox. We are not using Flexbox, I think, when for this. So yeah, I will put it in a Flexbox, and then we will good to go. But yeah, got the feedback from here. Thank you.
And configure promises and configure graphene as you see. I mean, if I'm seeing in my desktop, it's looking a little bit lighter. Maybe different. If you do it bold, it will work or not. I don't know. Check it out. That because in graphene G is not so visible.
Okay, I will check that out then.
Check that out.
Thank you.
Yeah, cool. Thank you, Ashit. So next up, we have two topics from Antoinette. Antoinette, are you on the call? Yep.
Okay, so two things that I would be talking about. One of the things that I wanted to do is to suggest is to update the Golang lengthen setting across all of the Go projects. We're having some discrepancy. Part of it is one is Golang length. They have their updated version, which is at 1.50. Some of us may be using 1.49, some of us may be using something older. So we would need to make a note of which is the latest so that everybody can be on the same page. But at the same time, while researching, GoLang also deprecated some of the settings and also added new settings. And this also includes some of the projects, they have been merged into newer projects, and some of them have been archived. So here is an example of one of the PR that I was working on. Let me see. One second. I'm going to share in just a minute. What? Right. Okay, so here's one for the Meshery operator. This would be just something similar, but we can also fine tune to each of the projects. Some of the options may not be relevant. Some of them may be overkill. But the file that I am working on for here, let me see. Where is it? Okay. So, actually, so that's the PR request that I have here, but let's go. So here's an example. This is just an example config for the latest one. And some of them, let's go down to the bottom. So here's all of the ones that we can enable. And these will just show the comments on what they actually do. We can, make it an example file for somebody to reference when it comes to trying to figure out what linter we should use and which one we should not use. And we'll probably have to play around with it. Part of it is that some of them, well, definitely once you've run through the CI through GitHub Action, it will fail right off the bat. So we would just need to try to figure out which one that we need and which one we don't need from locally. So that's the first part. The other one that I'm working on is the refactoring the Ginkgo test suite. And so here is well, actually, let me go here. So here, Ginkgo has been upgraded to version 2. And this means removing some of the items or refactoring rather, but locally for me, it failed only on, let me find a, see. Give me 1 second. But in the meantime, did anybody have any questions about the GoLang lint issue or would like to contribute or suggest some feedback?
Yeah, so any comments or feedback for Antoinette?
I have a question. It's related. I hope this isn't distracting. I hope this is helpful, which is, there have been a number of times, well, any number of contributors to the Meshery operator and some of its, its custom controllers. And on occasion, people will scratch their head about, about tests and whether those are integration tests or just some of the build checks that go on. And I think, Antoinette, you're improving the lint check, a number of the different lint checks and the frameworks that are used to perform those lint checks. So Ginkgo and GoLang lint CI and thus far, are any of those tests, do any of those validate functionality? So like outside of coding convention, do any of them validate functionality when there's a PR that's opened?
Does it validate? I'm sorry. Can you repeat that question?
Yeah, as like an integration test. So if you open up a PR and you're changing functionality on the operator, outside of coding convention and sort of lint checking and running security tests and other like static analysis and things, do we have any functional tests, I wonder, in the operator?
Well, let's see.
And I know that my question is kind of, I'm pulling the fast one on you because it's not exactly what you were presenting. It's related. And
Yeah. I mean, well,
I
first
see some
I
suit
moved.
tests, right? So
sorry?
there's suit test, the suit_test.go. Are those actual tests, maybe, on the left side?
Yeah, so there's only two here, but I don't think there's one specific in the workflow. Yeah, actually, no. Let me go.
This is another good question, and maybe this is Gaurav will probably kick me off and say, hey, take this to the Meshery build and release call. But a question that I've longstanding had, and I would hope that we would address in the last build and release call, was the inside of the spreadsheet that tracks the test plan that covers each of the workflows and that kick off across the various repos within the project, what their purpose is and what they're testing. So it might be that some of the Meshery operator functionality is being tested in workflows outside of this particular repo.
Okay.
But it'd be really great to have clarity on that and convey that to contributors. And maybe there's some work to do in terms of putting some of those tests here, but yeah.
Well, yes. So well, I do agree. Whenever I first came across the Meshery operator, it was lacking in certain testing, especially when it comes to creating the building the Docker images and then trying to push it. But if you try to test it, it's using the latest Docker image, which was already been built. So it's that whole chicken and egg problem, and just trying to get it tested locally instead of trying to pull the latest image. So that was the problem that I had at first. Just trying to find the happy medium, which in turn we can create a workflow that can help with that. But as you mentioned, I'm not sure if other projects already have that in place. I think so, but I'm not really sure from the main Meshery repo. So yeah, that's what I was thinking. Since you already have it for the other adapters, I'm assuming that you already have one for the Meshery operator as well. So yeah.
That's it. Yep. So Ashish, can you make sure that is a subject in the Meshery?
Yeah, I've already noted. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I had asked for that to be covered this last week. Did you guys cover that? Or did you might remember?
I think Android was not there in the last call, so we skipped over and we talked about some other stuff.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Antoinette.
Yes. And then just really last thing, just finishing up the test suite. Once the test suite is completely done, that'll be, I probably will keep this as a PR because there are a couple other things that need to be added onto it. But as mentioned before, with the workflow, we'll have that on a separate PR. But that's it for me.
Yeah, thank you, Antoinette. So next up we have Abhi with
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can go to that link. Okay.
Oh. Yeah, sure.
Oh man. If you can go to that link yourself, like that's really messing up. Like I'm new to this. So,
Yeah, sure.
okay, so yeah, so this PR is about the Node version update from Node 16 or Node 14, whatever we are using in workflow and in the local environment, to Node 18. And there has been a fallback script also, that is like there is, first of all, there is 3 updates in this PR. If you go to the files changed, then there will be major 3 updates. And one of the update, I mean, the first update is updating the nvm rc file. So now the recommended choice, I mean, recommended node version suggested by us is node version 18. If you can go to the files changed tab, yeah. And yeah, so in the .nvm rc file, you'll see that node 18 .12.1, which is one of the latest LTS release made by Node.js community, is enforced by us. And you can use nvm sh to use the latest node to compile the webpack and build the Meshery UI. And related to, I mean, additionally, there has been changes to the workflow. I mean, all the workflow versions, like we were using node version 16 or probably 14 in the all the workflows beforehand. But now, since we have updated to 18.12, so all the workflows has been updated with that updated node version. And and definitely there is a fallback script if you have a node version less than 16, because now 16 and 18 they don't run with same script right now. So there will be there is a, yeah, if you see the line number 203 in the make file, so you'll see like first we are finding what's the version of node you are using. If it is version 18 or version 17, so they need an open SSL flag. So you'll run the build command with that flag. And if it is not I mean, if you're using less than 17, then it will be using another script which is called build 16 script. So based on it, you will always be successful in building the Meshery UI as of now. And yeah, if you can go to the another tab. Yes, so that was the first update I had. And the second update is about secure web sockets. So like whenever the Meshery is deployed in the HTTPS protocol, so in the secure host, so what it is asking is, like, we use WebSockets for getting a lot of data. I mean, you see a lot of data as a result of WebSocket in the Meshery itself. So uh, when you are using HTTPS, so HTTPS enforces the WSS instead of WS. So it is enforcing the secure WebSocket instead of insecure WebSocket. So based on like which protocol or where you are in on which host or actually which protocol you are using in your web browser, or where you have hosted your Meshery environment, it will fall back to WSS or WS based on like the protocol itself. So these are the 2 updates. So now if you host Meshery UI into some secure environment on the internet, then it will be using WSS. And yeah, I think that these are the 2 updates from myself.
Yeah, cool. So any quick comments or feedback for Abhi? I guess not. So since we are over time, so I guess we can cover rest of the topics in next call. So I see Yash, I think this is a question that you have. So yeah, feel free to ask on Discuss forum or tag anyone on Slack, and do share your error logs.
Yeah, sure, definitely.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, let's call this a wrap. So thank you everyone for joining today. We will meet next week, same place, same time.
Thank you, Gaurav. See you all.
Thank you.
Bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks.